Uh, sorry, back to it. Is there anybody who's here for the first time? Raise your hand because I would be very. Hi, Steve. Kitty. Hi, Kitty. Susan. All right, great. Well, there's enough of you. Hi, Bruce. Hey. Uh, Bruce Kaplan. Hi, Bruce Swan, too. Yeah, we have two Bruces. That's not normal. Um, what we're gonna do is first introduce the what you're at. You're at one of Farms Virtual Connections Tuesday Tech Talks, and we've been doing these for the last 9 months or so. And yeah, so every week we bring in a quote unquote expert from our community to talk about a particular kind of tech. And we've been, you can go to farmvirtualconnections.org and check out, all the past webinars we've been doing great. And we started out this year kind of deciding a new thing that we were going to do every month, which was open up the conversation to rather than have one expert in. You all know a lot, and I think we learn a lot from each other. And we were going to pick one topic at the beginning of the month. So this is our second time doing this. Last month we talked gear. This month we're talking social media. And what we're going to do is when you signed up, you said whether or not you wanted to talk. So I've got that list of names. I'm doing it in the order that you registered. So I will just call your name out and I'll tell you who's next. We have had the experience where some people didn't show up, because they couldn't make it for some reason. So if there's those of you who registered late and I didn't get your name on the list from 15 minutes ago, and you want to say something, we can go and raise your hand. We're going to go around the room. This is going to be moderated not by me. I'm just going to tell you how it's going to go. We're going to go around the room and everybody is going to say, those of you who said you wanted to are going to be called on. Sorry, we're not going to go around the room. Those of you who said you wanted to talk are going to be called on, and you will say your preferred social media platform, how often you post, and what kinds of posts you're doing. What you're doing, mostly posts about shows, other kinds of posts, kind of like your process of not your process, your intentions when you're posting. And maybe Brianna can explain that part a little bit better. But Brianna Lane, where are you, dear? I need you up close. Here.
I'm
Hi.
here.
See, on my screen, I can't move the video while someone has their hand raised. Oh, because David has his hand raised. David, do you want to ask your question before we go any further?
Can I just
Yeah,
interrupt that
okay.
everybody mute who's not
Yes.
talking?
Thanks, Sherry.
Thanks.
Mhm.
Let me try to take my hand down. How do you do that?
It's okay. I got it. It's down.
Oh, okay, I got it. I got it. Uh, what was my question? Um, no, it's just sometimes I wanted to contact somebody in the chats. Is there any way to do that? Can we send you an email to?
Chat is wide open
But
today.
as far as contacting somebody though, like getting an email address, would we email you to ask for that or?
Do you mean somebody who's attending here?
Yeah, there
You
have been
can,
there've been a couple of times when I wanted to, contact somebody to ask questions or something.
You
Just
can
one of the
chat
attendees.
directly to one person, so you could ask
yep,
already.
yep, yep.
So we just say that in the chat then?
Sure, sure. If
Okay.
you're looking for a particular email, or you can, at the end of this thing, let's not do it now, but maybe at the very end, we'll have everybody get an opportunity to just drop your email address in there. I will also happily send everybody the registration list when
Okay,
we're done.
thanks.
How about we do that?
Thanks, Sandy. That was my question.
No problem, David. Now I'm going to move Brianna up where I can see her because it bugs me that I need things in a certain order. Okay, Brianna, you should be able to unmute yourself. So,
I am.
uh,
I am unmuted now. Hi.
all right, you're up, girl. This is I will call the names and you will do the
Okay,
rest.
so I'm gonna say what just as a refresh, I'm gonna say what social media I like the best, what I utilize, how often, and what else? What was the other thing?
Well,
Sorry.
we were talking about kind of like, what kinds of posts you're doing?
What
You know,
kind? Yeah,
kind
how
of posts.
you
Yeah.
utilize. So I'm one of the farm social media people, and I have to say that my marketing brain this year in the pandemic is just like not working. The normal stuff is just not not this. It's not the same as it was a year ago. My favorite is Instagram. And I utilize posts and stories. I have one account that I post once a week every Tuesday for predictability's sake, and that is called Write More Songs. And it's just song prompts. And then I utilize stories if it's anything that I want to get out there in a quick way, but I don't want it to stay around because maybe it's not as stylized as my Instagram posts are. And then I use my personal account, and I manage 4 other accounts maybe. And the one that I have my marketing brain on for the most is the bike shop that my partner and I own and run. And we do a very pointed mix of like what's on sale, what's happening in the community, what is funny happening at the shop, and what's on sale. Like we try for like that kind of balance in our social media. And I always post on Instagram and just push it to Facebook and Twitter because that is what keeps me the most sane, to be honest. I got advice a long time ago to pick one and be good at that one and then push forward. But if I had more time and energy, I would tailor things a little bit more. That's all I'll say. That was like under 2 minutes, right?
Yeah, and you just reminded me that we do need to say, and I probably should have warned people. So Sherry Ulrich, you signed up you said you wanted to say something, and just so we're clear about all this, sorry guys, we're still getting the bugs worked out on process here, but this is casual. So when you signed up, there was a question that said, do you want to share? And what that question was, for you to share your social media practice, a little bit about your social media practice. And some people just wanted, at least half the people, if not more, just wanted to hear what everybody else was doing. Some of us are better at social media than others. And you just heard Brianna, she's done talks for us on social media and Instagram. And, that's, so hopefully the idea is that we'll get to learn from each other. And so Sherry, you're first, then Marilyn, you're next. And again, I'm sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but Brianna is the talk person. So you're going to be communicating with everybody, right? That point is that you're moderating. I may just call somebody's name, but whoever's talking, if you have anything further after that to add, that's, does that make sense? We don't really need a moderator.
All good. Well,
It's all good. We got this down. We are so professional here, and we're live streaming and everything. Oh my God.
call on someone and we'll keep rolling.
Sherry Ulrich, you're going up. You are
Okay.
up. 2 minutes or less.
Okay. I find social media to be way too pushy and irritating, but it's such a necessary thing. And it's the one thing that I have paid someone to manage for, I don't know, a decade maybe. Not always the same person. And there's no doubt that it's critical. And I know that I want to learn how to do it all myself. I do most of it myself, but I don't do fancy Instagram stuff myself. So my question at the end is going to be, is there a particular link where one should go to learn how to do fancier Instagram posts? I wish they would just stop creating new platforms. That would be so nice for us. It would be so merciful. And I just, the reason that I hire somebody is I'm perfectly tech savvy and I love learning and I love managing stuff, but I don't want to be a slave to it. And I want to be doing what I'm here to do, which is create music and not be serving that master all the time. So I do think that it's a really valuable thing and people need work. So there's a lot of people who are really good at it, and it's good to hand it off to people who are good if you feel like it's running your life. So do you still remember the question, Brianna, about Instagram?
Yeah, I remember it. Oh, I should write it down and then we'll get back there, right? Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you, Sherry. Anyone, Colin, who else wanted to share?
Yes. Okay, cool. Marilyn, you're next, and you should be able to unmute yourself. And after Marilyn is David Knoll.
Well, I have the luxury at WFMT of there being an online team. One person really manages the WFMT social media in addition to doing other things. Just like us, everyone I work with is doing multiple jobs. And we agreed from the beginning that Facebook was the social media platform that most of our users would be most comfortable with. For a number of reasons, I have not been active ever on Twitter. I left the public relations world and left Twitter behind and said bye. Um, and because it was, it's a kind of a news thing. Um, but I know that Instagram would be something, again, more useful to me. What I'm most interested in is how people use Facebook and convert those communications to listenership, to growing the audience, and vice versa. What do you find the most effective ways of driving listeners to, or audience members, forgive me, I'm radio, so I used a little different terminology, but drawing audience to your Facebook page so that they can keep in touch and be more engaged and interactive? And then what ways do you find using Facebook can drive and build your audience most effectively? And by the way, I'll just say that what I try to do is not always focus every Facebook post on my show, but things that might interest people who are maybe on the outer edges of my audience. Example, the first host of the Midnight Special radio show was Mike Nichols. And there's a biography coming out, so I just posted about that biography.
Sorry, I was flashing. You were doing
No.
really, really, really good. And
No, thanks.
thanks
That's
for
good.
it. It's great. I love what you said. Sorry, Dave. After David, I'm sorry, David Knoll, you can go ahead, David. You're up, and then Michael
Okay.
Kornfeld.
Okay, I don't remember signing up for, are we supposed to tell our experience with social media?
Okay, so you checked the yes box, but if
Right.
it's fine if you change your
Yeah.
mind. But basically, what we want to know, and I'm sorry, you guys, I reposted this in the chats to remind you, but it's a little awkward. So, what social media platform do you use most frequently? Do you prefer? What kind? How often do you post? And I'm not talking about like how often do you live stream. I'm talking about how do you post, and then what your typical content is. So.
Okay, so I avoided Facebook and everything. I wasn't interested at all. I didn't feel like sharing my daily minutia of my daily life with people. And then the pandemic shutdown came, and then I started live streaming. And so I wanted to connect with people. I'm doing Facebook live streaming. And so Facebook is it for me. I'm still awkward with it. But I'm really starting to appreciate the value of being able to connect with people and people from different countries. And so I post just about every day. A lot of my posts are promos for my live stream on Thursday nights. And then I tend to post YouTube videos of cute baby animals and then other interesting news items. I posted about, I was really excited that who is the Secretary of the Interior is a Native American woman. I think it's Secretary of Interior now. I was really excited about that. So, but I'm still really awkward with social media. I'd like to be really savvy with it, and I'm I'm getting there, but it is really nice to be able to post something and then have immediate responses from people. It's pretty nice. So that's it. And I just signed up for Brianna's Write a Song thing. So. You're muted, Annie.
I was just putting a thumbs up. I'm not supposed to be talking. You're good. Good job, Michael. Or sorry, David. Michael Kornfield, you're up.
Yeah, as a presenter, a public relations person for artists and indie labels, and as editor of a online magazine, I use social media extensively. I'm on it very frequently, every day, just about. Primarily Facebook, but also LinkedIn, which I know a lot of musicians aren't on and don't use, and I think it can be very valuable. But let me say something about Facebook. If you just use Facebook in terms of posting to your own personal page or your own artist page, you're missing the boat. I post to those, but I primarily post to other music and arts and entertainment groups on Facebook. For any given concert that we do on Long Island, it used to be I'd post to a number of Long Island and New York metro area Facebook groups. Now we can go worldwide. So as long as it's okay with the artists, I'm posting to dozens at times. The other thing I want to suggest to everybody in terms of that is, in terms of it being effective, it's most effective if you time your posts right. And there's no exact time as to when to post, but there are definitely times not to post. And prior to the pandemic, a lot of artists I've seen were posting when they got home from a gig. So at midnight or 1 a.m, you'd see a lot of artists, those of us who were still online at that point, would see a lot of posts from artists promoting their gigs. But I got news for you. The only other people who were probably seeing those posts were artists and publicists and agents for artists. So post during the day, and remember the time zone that you're posting in. I just wanted to quickly say something on LinkedIn. LinkedIn also has a number of music-oriented groups. Not particularly for posting necessarily about gigs, but posting about awards, posting about conferences and festivals, more general things, posting things that might inspire people to engage with you in a conversation on an issue affecting the community. That's a great way of I think, of getting out there. And as I said, a lot of musicians aren't using LinkedIn at all. So you might consider it. But for me right now, Facebook is number one. I have groups on acoustic music scene. My acoustic music scene group has been on LinkedIn for years, but I primarily use Facebook.
Nice. That's really, LinkedIn is the topic. Okay, sorry, I forgot to announce this out loud. Claudia, and then after Claudia is Nicholas. Nicholas, who's also, where are you?
Hi, I'm going to cede my time to my husband and musical partner and tech guy, Bruce Kaplan. But the one thing I will say is I'm a vintage postcard collector, and I post a postcard. Now I'm in my Valentine thing. And it's weird because people who aren't necessarily our music fans respond to the postcards. Bruce.
Oh, we're having an audio problem, Bruce. Are you guys in the same place?
We're in the same house. Come upstairs really fast.
But I'm
Here
gonna
he comes.
mute your other one, okay? Nice.
At Bruce Kaplan, he's a fast mover. I've heard that.
That's
Well,
nice.
now I'm winded from running up the stairs. We're on Facebook because we've spent 10 years building, 1,000 followers there, and it would take a long time to rebuild that elsewhere. Twitter is a cesspool, but fun, but it's not really for music. I think most of our social media is centered around live streaming and promoting live streaming. Certainly in the last year, it has been. What Michael says about sharing to groups has been a good multiplier. I struggle with, what to put on our band page and our personal pages, because the way Facebook treats them is completely different. Your ability to share an event is way different on a band or business page. So that's a pain in the butt. Thinking about what Marilyn asked, something I wish I could add more to, and maybe Marilyn, you have an even better opportunity, adding interactivity so that the listeners, audience, other people can contribute. So asking them, polls, preferences, top tens, just anything where they get to tell you instead of you're telling them. I think that's what social media is all about. People like to say what they think. So we put time into it. You can never put enough time into social media, and sometimes I just get exhausted from it and just do the minimum, I have to confess. That's my 2 cents. And now our regularly scheduled.
No, it was great. I'm sorry. I'm gonna actually text the list to Brianna so she's got it in front of her, so I don't have to keep interrupting because she's really supposed to be running this thing, not me, my big mouth. So after Nick is Michael Stock, and then the rest of the list will go in order to you. Watch your.
Cool. Yeah, I'm on all the social media platforms, and I spend quite a bit of time on social media, and Facebook is definitely my favorite, and it's mostly because that's where I put the most amount of energy into nurturing my audience over the years. But I also have kind of come to the conclusion that different platforms are different audiences and different age groups and different types of posts. And so I use TikTok just to make short form videos because they make it ridiculously easy. They also make it like really highly addictive. They really want you to be on TikTok all the time, and I hate that. So I like get on it, make a short video, and then share it to other platforms, which, I utilize the stories in a way that's like, these are not that important. And then posts are like when you take more time. And generally I operate under the theory that you get one good algorithm per day. So pick your posts. And I also work off of a content calendar. And so I have more or less, I know what I'm going to post every single day for the entire month. That helps me.
See, you're super organized. Whew. Okay, thank you. Next is Michael Stock and then Christopher Mark Jones. Michael, where are you?
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm still a little bit hesitant. I'm not really social media maven, and I don't do much posting. I just will say on a side note that I do know a news director at a radio station in Tampa that almost lost his job because he didn't want to post to Facebook. So now I get a lot of Facebook posts from him of his news program. But that, other than that, I'm still a novice to all this, and Instagram and TikTok, I'm still intimidated by it all. That's all.
That's interesting. Thank you. Now the chat is going crazy. Okay. Christopher Mark Jones, where are you?
Here
There
I
you
am.
are.
I think I'm unmuted. Away we go.
Good to see you.
So David Null just posted a question and Sherry answered as well, but I can sort of focus on that. The big picture for me is that I've been weeding out social media platforms because Twitter drove me wacky and I was uninterested in participating. Instagram, it seems like too much of a job, and how many of these big jobs do you actually need? So I've been focusing on Facebook, and a question for others who may, and we've had a bit of an answer, the relationship between Perso and band, Bruce mentioned that, is a little obscure. I've never been a personal poster on Facebook. It's really been exclusively band. Like someone else who just posted, I mostly post for streams, releases, what used to be gigs, and nobody posts for those anymore, just streams. And I'm fairly systematic. I'm starting now to do my MailChimp mailing list, sending that to Facebook as well. In terms of boosting, I've become systematic about that as well. In other words, Facebook gives you, for $10, you can send it out to 5,000 people who can either be random or targeted, and the targeting runs the gamut, right? In other words, you can. There's also inviting. If you do an event, then you can invite either friends from your actual perso world, or you can invite. So like when I start off, I tend to invite last. First of all, I'll boost the event. Okay, I'll boost the event to likes and friends of likes on the on my band page, and then afterwards I might send it out to a demographic, people of a certain age who are interested in music of a kind, and so forth. So anyway, I'm doing that systematically, spending a little money on it, and it does seem to help in terms of accumulating listeners and users.
Awesome, thank you. We have a long list of folks that wanted to talk, so sorry to cut you short.
No problem.
Next up is Phil Slates and then Bart Moore. So Phil, where are you?
I'm over here.
Hi.
So, gee, I didn't realize I said I wanted to talk, but I just we use this is as a venue. We use Facebook. We use an extensive email setup, and then we have we have a Twitter account and a YouTube channel, and that other one that everybody's talking about. What I'm curious, and I don't know if you want to answer it now or near the end, but you mentioned something about posting to one and pushing it to the others. That's what I want to, because I'm wasting my time going back and forth and doing the same thing. So if that comes up, that'd be great. Thanks for all you guys do.
Yay, thank you. I'm writing questions down so that we can maybe like chat more about them later. And then, but utilize the chat. I see people even talking about giving tips on like boosted posts and stuff like that. There's a couple different ways you can push posts from one platform to another, but I'm writing all those questions down just so that we can come back to them a little bit later. But let's get through this list of folks who said they would talk too. So Bart Moore, you're up, and then Mark Smith. So Bart, where are you?
Hi, man, a lot of people not remembering that they wanted to talk, including me. So I'm wondering if old Bushmill sales are increasing exponentially. But at any rate, I use Facebook. Don't really use Twitter just because philosophically opposed to it, but Facebook, and try to do something every couple of weeks. I just don't have that much going right now, but just try to do something every couple of weeks. Make it funny, make it provocative, do something to maybe promote another artist in my community, and just keep it interesting so that people know that I'm still out there and still active. Love the suggestion about pushing to other Facebook platforms, and would like to hear more about how to do that. And that's pretty much it.
Awesome, thank you. Let's see. Okay, people are sending me direct messages saying if they want to talk or not, which is totally fine. This is great. Mark Smith, do you want to talk? Mark.
I don't know if I even see Mark in the room.
Yeah, I don't either.
Okay, sorry. I just typed him off my list. I didn't check to see if they were actually here.
Is Steve Karlovsky on the list or here?
I see Steve.
Yeah, I'm here.
Hi, Steve. Do you want to talk?
Sure. Hey, first time on any of these functions. So I'll just quickly say I coordinate the Gebhard Woods Dulcimer and Traditional Music Festival in Morris, Illinois. It's an annual event. So that means that the year has a cycle. So there's, you start playing a new festival and information starts coming out about artists and yes, we have our dates and then as you get closer, then it starts getting into reminders about here comes the festival. The only social media platform we really use right now is Facebook. And that's really just because it's what we started doing. We don't have any grand strategy. We have Facebook, we have our website, and we have a MailChimp list. And of the three, Facebook usually gets our announcements and our information first because it's easy to get things out quickly through Facebook. Usually email and the website follow maybe a half a day or a day behind that. So how often we post depends on what time of the year it is. There's more posts as you get closer to the festival and then things go quiet for a while. And our intentions really are to use it as a way to get information out. But we also post, we have a nice archive of old performance clips and things like that. So we'll post things kind of along the way, try and keep people engaged throughout the year. I'm very interested to know more about what people know about what social media platforms might get us to younger audiences. And I really have, and along with that, I'm going to share a concern I have about Facebook, which is that I think there are people that are leaving Facebook right now because of what happened with the political stuff and people feeling like maybe they don't trust Zuckerberg with their data anymore. I don't want to just rely on Facebook if there are other ways to reach people. I think I probably need to think about that a little bit.
Yeah, good. I'm glad someone brought it up. That's great. Thank you. All right, that was Steve. Then now Max Bloomquist and then Sue Fink. Max.
Here I am.
Hello.
Hi. Gee, I don't know if I'm good at social media or not. Yeah, we have a Facebook page for Ruth and Max, and mostly what we post is about shows. That's, we feel like we're there to promote what we're doing, and that's basically what we use it for. Sometimes we just sort of post something that's of interest or something that might promote someone that we have a relationship with. Like if we're, certain venues that we know, if we see that they're putting on some show that, we'd like to see pushed, we'll share something like that. So yeah, it's about the shows for us. One thing that has worked for us as well is we have a profile on the Reverb Nation platform, and we can that's where we also keep our show schedule, which there aren't any right now, but when one pops up, and you can do online shows. I don't usually do that. You can't put online shows on there, but anyway, when a show pops up on my Reverb Nation calendar, it automatically posts to our Facebook page, which makes it easy. And we like to do a monthly newsletter, and that's where we also keep our email list. And every time we send out our monthly newsletter, it also automatically posts to our Facebook page. And that makes that pretty easy too. And I'll just say, we haven't really considered Instagram or Twitter or anything like that because, we're old. But but I spend way too much time doom scrolling on Facebook, and it's like, oh, it's 10 o'clock and I'm in my sweats and slippers yet. But I like Facebook for the music.
Great.
I really do.
Annie just was reminding me to cut you off. That was funny.
Sorry,
Well-
Max. I have my stopwatch going, so when I do this, it means the 2 minutes are up.
We're
Sorry,
playing bad cop, good cop over here.
I know. I'm the bad cop.
It just didn't seem like 2 minutes to me, Annie.
Right? Yeah, 2 minutes flies. Thank you, Max. Is what I meant to say is thank you. Sue Fink is up, and then Cece, and then Louise Baker.
Well, I'm glad there's a 2-minute timer because I could just ramble all day if given the opportunity, which is why I'm not on Twitter. There's nothing I could say in 1,000 characters or less. I can't even say my name in that. So I spend my time on Facebook. I have a newsletter that I send out. I used to send it out monthly. Now I'm sending it out more often because time has lost all meaning to people. And if I just send it out monthly, no one will ever come to the virtual events. I'm running an online series called the Virtual Dream Cafe. So I have a page for that on Facebook and my Chicago Sue Fink page. No one cares about the Chicago Sue Fink page anymore. Nothing I say, whether I promote someone else or share anyone else's video, no one cares about it right now. I don't know why. I've just accepted it. I still keep posting to it. There's no likes. And I just like, no one likes me anymore. But Virtual Dream Cafe is going fine. I post to my profile page that's just to friends. I post about the moon and my walks, pictures of walks, and everyone seems to like that. And quirky little stories that happen to me, they like that. I probably should post that to my music page, but the thought of sharing those personal things with people who I don't know just freaks me out. And so I have a hard time doing that. I should be on Instagram and I should be on this or that, but I feel like I'm barely holding on to the real space world, and that if I spend any more time online, I might not exist in the real realm anymore.
I think it's important to listen to that. You're awesome. There's like super love for you in the comments, by the way, right now. Thank you, Sue. Cece, you're up, and then Louise Baker, are you still here? I don't know, but Cece, where are you?
I'm here.
All right.
So I wasn't sure about my contribution here, but I am fascinated in this and I am following it on all levels. My particular thing is that I am in the process of putting together a mailing list to introduce what I'm calling a paradigm art project. I know somebody's not going to want to hear this, but I'm building yet another platform that is actually a work of art, an open mic hybrid concept. It's literally like 40 years of my life work coming together to do this. And if I may, I'll put the email in the chat. And so basically what's happening there as far as social media goes is I'm creating a kind of a private Zoom world where people can come into, and in that little Zoom world is going to be an idea that's a work of art. And from there, I'm going to push it out. If people don't want to join, because there's going to be a threshold, do you want to come into this living work of art? And I'm making this thing called the Principles of Involvement. Now, all that aside, and the focus of why I'm here is that if people don't want to do that, because it's a little weird and you have to learn something, and I have a PowerPoint for those who want it, that's why I could put the URL, then it's going to go social media. And that's where you could just subscribe. You don't have to join. You don't have to be part of this little thing. You don't have to have this little barrier to go through to come in and participate. That's going to go out to social media. So I'm using Zoom, and then I'm going to be using an actual venue, which is going to become my host. So when it comes to pushing it out using Restream, because that's where the cheapest Zoom Restream is the cheapest combination, then I'm going to use the people that are probably from like the Buttonwood Tree, their people. If I have someone else that has a big Twitter page, I'll use Restream to go to there. So I'm going to go with whoever wants the biggest numbers to push it out to, rather than focus on my page, my Zoom, my Instagram. My numbers are too low there. I don't have any friends there. I got nobody at LinkedIn yet. I understand that. So I'm going to be utilizing people, and each event venue thing. And this is like going to be a 2-year concept, and it's way too much to describe right now. And I think my
That's
2 minutes
amazing.
are up.
Woo! You talked fast. I
Well,
appreciate
dude,
that.
I was taking Sue's clue. I'm like Sue Fink. I can keep going.
That sounds awesome, and people are wondering how we can find it.
Okay, so
please put stuff in the comment or in the chat.
Thank you for that permission to do so, everyone.
Thank
And
you. All right, Louise Baker is up, and then Irene Espiritu. and then Michael August, and then Annie Caps. Louise Baker.
Okay, thanks. I'm here. I agree with a lot that's been said. Michael Kornfeld had some great thoughts about Facebook. I put in the chat a webinar that I've been to before, and I can put it out there again, or you can email me, done by a woman named Samantha English. And she does a free webinar about all of the little tricky things that keep coming up on Facebook. So yes, I manage 5 pages for different venues and as a talent buyer and booking agent. I do use Facebook most of the time, and I do a lot of events. And I think it is important to share the events with groups, also schedule your live events. And another thing that we didn't bring up or talk about was cross-posting and co-hosting. You know, you want to cross-post to the artists that are going to be playing on your page, make sure that a live stream is going to be happening on their pages. And you want to co-host if we have a show tonight with 5 different artists, and I want to be able to co-host. So I like that Facebook offers that. But something that I learned recently, if you don't know, on your business page, if people just to your band page, if they just come and like it, it's not going very far. So you have to encourage them to go to those 3 little dots, open them up, and there's this follow settings. That's really important if you haven't discovered that yet. And in there, you can make your settings so that those feeds come up earlier, the notifications, the videos on these band pages that you're following. So somehow you've got to get your audience to know about that. So as a musician, when you're in front of your audience virtually, I would check that out and encourage them to do that. Otherwise, very little of what we're posting every day, like 2% of what you're posting out there is actually getting seen. So, you know, you've got to learn these little tricks, and I'm happy to give you that webinar again. She does have a service you can subscribe to, but she does these free webinars that are great. And the other thing I can just say is build your mailing list and use MailChimp or something, because I think that is the best tool to stay connected.
You own your own mailing list, so, and no one's gonna take that from you. And Louise, if you can share that webinar in the chat anyway, that'd be awesome. Thank you.
Sure.
Irene Spiritu, are you here?
I'm here. Hello.
Hello. What say you?
So I use Facebook, Instagram. I don't use Twitter as much. And I just started using TikTok. And yes, it's very addicting, but I just use it to post videos and kind of, you know, it's a different beast altogether, TikTok. But I use Facebook mainly, and because I use it mostly for my shows, and because the timeline has changed, the concept of time has changed during the pandemic. I used to post gigs 2 weeks before the show, but now I do it 2 to 3 days, and sometimes the day of. And I use stories a lot, actually. I've gotten more tractions using stories for both Instagram and Facebook. And whenever I post something, I usually check to see, it used to be that Facebook would have the number of people online at the bottom of the screen. So I try to get it when it's 250 and above. Then I post something, but for some reason it's not there anymore. So I don't know how to find it again. And I also joined several groups that allow for you to post. When I go live, I share it immediately to the various groups that allow streaming. And there's actually several groups, and you probably know this already, that specifically for live streaming music. So when I go live, I have a countdown video to keep people on while I share to various groups on Facebook. And I just found out about Clubhouse. You guys might know about it already, which is just audio-based social media. So I don't know a lot about it. And because it's new, it's just by invite only, but yeah, it's just audio based. There's several chat rooms and people do talks on specific things. So that's that. And yeah, I think that's covers everything.
I have a good feeling about Clubhouse. I don't know why. I see some of my industry friends like getting early access to Clubhouse. So I'm curious. Thank you. Michael August and then Annie Caps.
Okay, well, as it turns out, I'm really a neophyte at all this stuff. And I probably misunderstood the question. That's how on top of it I am. So I'm just going to defer to Annie.
Yeah, we do. I did have a question which I posted in the chat, which is we do have a fan page, but we're not using it really at all, just for us as musicians. And I'm trying to figure out ways, put stuff up there, but it doesn't seem to go anywhere. That thing about the 3 dots, that's something that people have to opt into. Is that correct? Did I understand that? So they have to be willing to say, yes, I want your announcement. And my other question was, is there any way to contact people who are fans directly instead of just posting stuff on the page? Like when our album came out, I would really like to be able to approach people directly and say, hey, we got this new album, blah, blah, buy it, that kind of a thing. So if anybody has, knows how to do that, that would be great. I did figure out how to get a list of all the people. There is a way you can do that. But then what do you do with that list?
Yeah, there's Facebook Messenger. There's ways to direct message anybody on all these platforms. On Instagram, it's direct message. On Twitter, I think there's direct message too. And
this is on Facebook.
Facebook Messenger then is your answer.
And then so like that whole list of, we've got, 750 people or whatever on there. I could send a message. It would go to all of them.
No, you would have to go to each one individually.
You have to go to each one.
Copy and paste.
Okay, all right, got it. Thank you.
Or you could send one big group chat, but that would be annoying for the whole group because all of the messages go to all the people in the group, and that would just
right.
With the headache. So I would urge you to not to. I can only stay until 1 o'clock today, so I'm gonna have to hand over the reins at some point back to Annie, and then but I did want to make sure that I took some notes, make sure that questions are being answered at least in the chat. Can I do that before you talk, Annie?
Yeah, please. Yeah.
Cool. So is there a website to learn more about Fancy Pants Instagram posts? Was somebody's question. I don't think they said Fancy Pants, but I did. Yeah, often I'll see somebody do something cool I'm not going to answer all these questions, by the way, but I just wanted to add my little tidbit. I see somebody doing something cool and I just Google it, and there are plenty of blog posts about how to do cool stuff. And then something I want to get into, but I have to leave, converting Facebook community that you already have into converting it into actual audience that will show up to your gigs, and the difference between maintaining your audience and building your audience, which is I feel like all this stuff is really good for maintenance, but how do we utilize this stuff for building? Trust and relying on Facebook was talked about and should be talked about more maybe. And then how to cross post. I saw a lot of good stuff in the chat about how to cross post. Or how to post from one platform to the other, but maybe folks can talk more on cross-posting and co-hosting and the timing of social media posts. That's all I have to say. I'm going to take off really soon, and I'm so sorry I have to leave early because I know this is going to be good. But Annie, shooting it back over to you.
Well, I'm going to just my shout out to Brianna at this point is that we a while ago, early on, did a tech talk on Instagram, and it was just sort of a basic, kind of the beginning of which we are long overdue for, I think, a more intensive, and you have a wealth of knowledge that I know. So I think that we'll have to talk about that, because I think that what I've heard is a lot of questions, like you say, that relation, it's been really interesting, and I love the chat. Make sure you save the chat. But I think we might be walking away today with more questions than answers, or even some ideas, but hopefully you're all getting some ideas. But thank you. So
I'm also going to go back and watch. Somebody did a TikTok one, and TikTok eludes me, so I'm going to go back and watch that TikTok.
Yeah, that was Laura Joy. She was great. She did all of that. But I find it fascinating that we're Facebook live streaming this, and pretty much everybody is primarily focused on Facebook. So it's like a really interesting, you know, no, and I don't know if it's just that we're not getting a lot of activity over there, but I'm curious. There was a long time ago when I heard about a thing called Hootsuite, which was you pay for it, but I signed up at one point and then I just stopped. But like to me, what I think everybody could really get a lot of use out of is if you only want to post to one place, find an aggregate. Like there's platforms out there. Nick, I see you nodding. Maybe you know more about this than I do, but to me that was it seemed like something that would be worth paying for, to be able to just do one post that went everywhere instead of having to go around. My big frustrations with Facebook that somebody brought up is like when you do an event and you got to invite people, the time I spend going through my list of friends and selecting who I want to send this invite to and deciding if they want to come, and when 75% of the names on there I don't even know. And there was a time when Facebook, so mine's just a bitch moment, sorry about this, but there was a time when Facebook at least used to give you the city and state where the person was from. And you could go, oh, well, I'm going to be in Chicago, so I could click here and here. Now, obviously, in times of COVID, it doesn't matter so much, but, and you know, YouTube. So anyway, I don't know. My complaints are long, but what Sue said is the posts that get the most traction are things that have nothing to do with music or with a show, an upcoming show. I can post an anniversary photo or a picture of Rod's bees and hundreds of people will comment and respond to it. It's like, so I'm trying to figure out how to take those pictures and somehow sneak in a little bit about an upcoming show and maybe it'll, you know, like how to find a way to, right? Like, but using, you know, the other points of interest in your life and moving on. Okay. So at this point, let's open up to anybody who hasn't had a chance to say anything, who wants to raise your hand. We'll go, I'm willing to go up to 3:30 on this one. So, oh, Charlie, hi, Charlie. You're just raising, I can see your hands, but use the raise hand feature in the thing so we can, so it'll move you up to the top of my screen if you want to say something. Go, Charlie. Hi, Charlie.
Okay. Yeah, for whatever reason, as a host, I still don't have the ability to do that. And every time I update it, updates to the wrong, I don't know. But my social media, basically everything originates out of Facebook for me because I've just built up the biggest following there and I can keep people pretty engaged over there. Other areas of social media I fool around with, I use Instagram just for photography, not really anything for music. Every once in a while I'll use it to promote something musical. And I use TikTok to waste lots of hours and I haven't really figured out how to gain an audience there or expand into it. I mean, I sort of have some ideas, but I'm just not focused on it. I get on TikTok and it's a lack of focus that is reigning at that moment. And then YouTube, I'm really trying to work that hard. And that's a tough nut to crack because I'm trying to, you know, I've got 5,000 people on Facebook and on YouTube, I've got 300 people and I keep trying to get people to come over to my YouTube page, and it's a tough nut to crack. So I'm working really hard to make that happen. Twitter, I basically ignore. I mean, I think I just shared something to it a little while ago, but I don't spend any time with it. So that's pretty much my social media routine on a weekly basis.
That was the other
posting my show on YouTube. And
I'm sorry, Charlie, I didn't mean to interrupt. It's like,
oh, that's right.
That was the other question I was going to ask is like, are you routine posters or are you random posters? Like, you know, which I feel like is a big question to just go around the room and ask, but like, raise your hand because I can see you all. If you post on a regular basis, if you have like sort of a regular schedule when you know you're going to post. Marilyn, of course. Sue, Nick, thanks. Yeah, so most of you are more random, just when you think of something that you want to post or have something specific. There isn't any kind of, yeah. I actually, Michael, do you want to say something? Michael Stock?
Well, for what it's worth, I do have 2,000 followers on YouTube, and I've just been posting my radio interviews there and some old TV clips I have. I don't know what to do with those followers. I don't monetize it at all, but they're there.
Well, they're subscribers, and I think subscribers are important because every time if you go live, and obviously live streaming is a big part of the social media, but if you go live when you're doing your show, they will get notified. You know, I think Facebook has something similar where you got to click that button to follow, like Louise was talking about. But I think collecting YouTube subscribers is a real, that's an important thing. And I want to say something about MailChimp because Louise brought that up. I use MailChimp for my newsletters, and I have it automatically posts my newsletter to, it can post to Instagram, Twitter. That's literally the only post that ever goes to Twitter is my newsletter. And I figure why not if one person sees it, right? And then Facebook. So anybody use like your mailing list pretty regularly? Still mailing list people? Sherry, yeah. Yeah.
I think it's key, and I would love to just add something about that because I think that with social media, we've become this collectors of people, like it's all about numbers. And we know that funding bodies, sometimes that's their first question is what your social numbers are, which drives me a bit crazy. And I feel like one of the things that's transformed for me in my own head over this time, last year, is that it's less about collecting numbers than it is about connecting and engaging with the people who I am in touch with. And a newsletter is big for that. I've been doing that since I used to mail them out in the 70s. I'm still working with that mailing list. And I just, I feel like the quality of the engagement, and ironically, just as an amusing anecdote, I had thousands of responses. The most responses I've ever had was when I posted about how I had replaced all the inside mechanics of my toilet. And what that meant to me as a woman to know that I could do that. And it was just an amazing response, but it's really just a testimony that people want human connection. And I know somebody Sue said that she personal stuff. My whole career has been based on revealing myself and revealing the human nature in song. So that doesn't bother me at all. But I wanted to add too, I just put out a new video, and the reason I hire somebody is because they know all the inner workings of, okay, well, if you post a link on YouTube, the algorithms don't send very many people that message for them to get that link. If you embed it on Facebook, you get thousands and thousands more people viewing it. But I still feel like, the numbers on YouTube are important. The last video I didn't do to YouTube first, there's only like 150 views. Now in 2 days, there's 1,000 of them by doing the link to YouTube first. So I'm a scramble of what numbers mean and what they don't mean, but that's it. I don't have a good finish. There you go.
No, it's fine. It's like this is a hot topic. Since we're talking about mailing lists, I'm curious because for the first time, Nicholas, I'm with you. I've always posted just once a month, just sent one newsletter a month because pretty much somebody unsubscribes every single month, right? Because they're, and I'm tired of getting newsletters myself. But I have noticed, like last month, we had 3 live streams, and I sent out reminders right before each live stream, and it made a huge difference because so many of our fans that want to see us are the ones that are on our email list more so than just out there in the social media. So I'm wondering how many of you are like I hate sending out that many, but nobody unsubscribed this time, and I thought for sure. Okay, so Sue Fink, you're back up.
Like I said, I send out my newsletters monthly, and that was great. In this time, it is just it's not enough, and I think that it really depressed me when certain people then unsubscribed when I was sending them more often. But then I realized those are the people that hardly ever read my newsletters anyhow. The ones who are my fans read it, and now they kind of know. I'm going to send out one about the show, and then the next week I send a reminder, and the reminder says, do not open this if you're not planning to go, because all it is a reminder about that show. So if you're not going to go, save yourself the time. Don't even open it. So it's almost like it's a show, and then guess what? I went for a walk and I saw these really cool geese and blah, blah, blah. And here's my upcoming show. And then here's a reminder, don't open it if you're not going to go. And then I'll look at the moon on this night and blah, blah, blah. And then here's a reminder for the show. And it seems to be working. People have stopped unsubscribing at least.
It'd be entertaining when you're in your newsletter. People want to read it. and
You have to give people a reason to want to read it other than that you're listing your own shows. I mean, there has to be a reason for them to feel a part of something.
Yeah.
That you're not just telling them all about you, but that you actually care about them in some way. I don't know. That's
Yeah, personal ones. Oh, I could go on and on about that. We're moving on. Elaine, thanks, Sue. Oop, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Elaine, go ahead. And
Yeah, I had mine is a little different because I do use MailChimp, but it's because I am posting about the shows that I have coming up. I had and I only use basically Facebook, but I'm thinking that I should use more. I have done the boosts on Facebook. I don't think it brought a whole bunch of people. And I was just wondering too, and I guess this would be more to Annie, whether when you push this out, what we're doing now, or the Tuesday things, do you get much interaction from Facebook, from people who are watching it on Facebook?
Not necessarily currently. That's the thing about Facebook with this one right now. These things are starting to catch on, and of course it depends on the topic. Some of them were, more watched than others. But the farm Facebook page itself, the views, we may have, I think at most one time we had 10 people actually watching one. I don't know. Nick, are you looking at our stream right now? Is anybody watching?
Yeah, there are a few people that are in the comments of the stream today, just a couple people. But when we did the Tech Talk with Ian Gorman, we had a whole separate conversation going on Facebook during the Zoom meeting.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, I would echo that. It's not so much necessarily about the live stream itself, but we get residual views. So there might only be 8 people watching when it's live, but then a week later, the video will have over 1,000 views.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is the same for live streams, so that's why I say you may be sitting there performing to 5 people at the time, but that stream stays up and people will see it later. Don. Hi, Don.
Hi, I'm a house concert presenter, and I've done some consulting work for the Community Music School of Ann Arbor, and on social media to help them rebuild their website. And right now, I'm schooling some my honorary step grandsons out in Oregon who have a classical music duo that they are promoting and just getting started out. And so that gives me a whole new spin on some of the newer platforms, particularly TikTok, because a lot of their audience is glued to TikTok. That doesn't describe many of us, if any of us in this room, unless you have programming that focuses on kids and young people, and some of you may have that. In any case, I just wanted to share this quickly. I've got 4 C's for you, okay? Content is the first one. It's king. Be sure you're putting all your content on your Facebook page. And I do consider Facebook to be our primary platform, at least for the audience that we're talking to today. Community, I heard lots of people talking about telling jokes, taking polls, sharing personal stories. All of those are critical to seeking connections with your fans and with your community. Conversation, pretty much the same thing. Just talk to people and ask them questions. I posted a silly post this morning that said, tell me about any song with girl in it and change it to squirrels. And in an hour and a half, I got like 87 responses, and most of them were hilarious, okay? And then continuity. Somebody talked about frequency, whether it's emails or Facebook. Keep it frequent. Make sure that you don't let 2 weeks pass in talking to your fans, even if you're not doing anything in those 2 weeks. It's important that you keep that connection fresh. And last comment, somebody said because we're old. just keep up on the new platforms and keep up on the changes to the new platforms. That webinar that somebody was talking about was very interesting in terms of keeping current on Facebook technologies. That's all.
That's great. That's not all, Don. That's awesome. That's gold. That's beautiful. Thank you, sir. That
You're
was
welcome.
great. Sorry, I was trying to make a C, but that was the only. Okay, you can, all right, CC, but I do want to just, and what Don said, oh, shoot, it left me. Never mind. It'll come back to me. Okay, thank you. Oh, I know what it was. TikTok, translating into audience. I keep thinking that ultimately what we're looking for is people to buy our merchandise, support our shows, right? And like the idea of what platforms get the most engagement, as you say, like, so you can have thousands and thousands of views on some little TikTok video. Is that going to bring people to your shows? You know, where that's like, to me, like where the audience is. And so when you talk about being old, that's the only question, you know, like, where do you want to spend your time? And I'm not saying I have the answer. I'm just, because I thought TikTok was really cool. And I recommend watch the TikTok and watch the Twitch. Michael Kornfeld brought up, Michael, was that you that brought up Twitch in the, sorry, CC, I'm coming back to you.
Yes, I mentioned Twitch.
Because the thing about Twitch that we discovered, our friend Laura Joy did a talk on that, was great. You got to be on for 2 hours. And so that's an opportunity to, right, bring in people, engage with, like, have an interview program, or you have to do more, right?
Mhm.
It's not like a quick drop in a half-hour live stream. You know, it's a lot. And but it sounds like it's catching on for music, for sure, in the folk community. But, and Michael, if you want to talk about that, I'm going to come back to you. But if you don't, then I won't. So, CC.
Okay, yeah, on the, there's a lot of good stuff. I want to thank everyone right away off the top. Love you all. Going with the Twitch and these other platforms and things like that, and then what's happening with reaching people in South Africa and in all of the Middle East and all the Asia, and trying to get into Hong Kong and stuff like that. If anybody has any suggestions of how that's working out, or if anybody's having any fortunate thing there. But it's the most important thing I want to say right now is something that Sherry touched on, as far as when you walk up to somebody and say, who are you? What do you do? I don't care. What are your numbers? Yeah. That's AI. AI is not stopping at that. We are being reduced. It's a cold-blooded thing I'm about to say. I'm sorry if it sounds like I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but they really only want eyeballs to sell eyeballs to get more eyeballs. And we're being reduced to that. And that's why I'm creating this thing. And I'm gonna plug it because it's really it's a benevolent project. I'm creating something literally to give away to everyone that no one will own. It's a hair. You can call me a dreamer, just don't call me late for lunch, I said the other day. So that's it. In order to create that human paradigm type thing of where it's going, just please send me an email. I'll do the thing to you. I don't know what to say. I don't want to plug myself too much, but I am trying to answer the question of, are we artists making art to touch humanity, to be involved with community? Is that real to us? In the same time, the paradigm we're doing it in is a machine that is mechanizing us. And if we don't do something about that, then we're running into the slaughterhouse trying to get away from the slaughter. And I don't mean to be graphic, but I'm kind of keeping my time short. So I have to go soon. Love you all, and thanks for letting me in here, and appreciate and again, just try to keep in touch. That's it. I'll the Human Room Open Voice. That's the name of the baby.
And you posted, right? You put that in the chat?
I just put the Gmail because it's only in its first trimesters. I can't show you the baby yet, but it's going to launch. It's going to launch on August 14th out of the Buttonwood Tree as far as the very first venue. There's tests before that. There's explanations, but like I say, this is an experiment. It's literally, I'm making what I'm calling a living work of art. It's being called the Paradigm Art Project. I'm really I've been doing this for years. This goes back to my life in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, stuff I did in the teens and now. So this is a culmination of me trying to give voice to the voiceless.
Nice. I love it. And we'll want to hear more about it. So keep us posted, would you?
And thank you for letting me be here. And I love you all. I'm going to be leaving soon, so I want to say goodbye.
Thanks, Cece. Well, we're all going to be leaving pretty soon. I'm going to, I want to, hey, Don, I remembered the other C, collaboration.
Oh, yes, yeah,
add that?
absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, I meant to mention that because it collaborating goes right along with co-hosting and pitching your venues, pitching your partners, pitching your co-presenters. Very important.
Yeah. Honestly, this is an amazing conversation. I'm looking around the room. I just want to see, did anybody have questions that they didn't get answered? I mean, well, there's probably many. That was a big one, but does anybody have a question they feel like could get answered quickly? Cece, did you put your hand back up or is it still up? It's just, okay, I'm going to take it down.
No, I think it's still up. You can take it down. But you can go on about the EU thing. Anybody know what's happening with the sharing outside of our continent?
Oh, I don't know. Oh boy, does anybody know anything about that? That sounds like a big topic. I want to comment on Frank's view out the deck. I don't know if he's even here with us, but that looks like, where are you, Frank?
What is that stuff? Oh, sorry.
That was about a week ago. That is outside my back deck. I look over a common area with a creek. It's very picturesque, and we had snow maybe a week or so, but today it's warmed up, and the groundhog would have seen its shadow if it would have come out. But there's nothing for them to eat, so they really should be still in their dens.
Oh man, where are you? I forget.
Oh, this is St. Charles, a suburb of St. Louis in Missouri.
Oh, okay. Wow. All right. Well,
and just comment on some newsletters. I get some from some organizations have changed to do say a weekly feature in addition to say the monthly general newsletter, just kind of keep more interest going during the pandemic.
yeah, it's all that last minute stuff. Uh-oh. Sorry, my phone's ringing. It's going to be a minute. Sorry, that's really annoying. Somebody else talk for a minute. All right, Susie Vinnick. I always love hearing from you. I should never have brought a phone down to my basement where I have a quiet moment. There. You got anything to add to us?
I've been putting it in the chat. I'm sorry if I've been a pain in the butt, everybody. I just been throwing it up there because I use, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter to share information. And I know there's other sites. Someone posted about Reddit. And I just think there's a whole mindset of getting inside like Reddit. And I mean, look what happened to the stock markets last week. And I think that was initiated because of groups on Reddit. So there's probably an audience for us all out there. But I just had asked questions about what newsletter services people use. I'm just curious what's out there aside from the ones I know. And I know there's just so much to know. My brain hurts.
Yeah. I know. Well, yeah, I hear you. We could talk about, I think email, I think actually we're at a tech talk. So I actually think having a tech talk on, I don't know, newsletters, emails, MailChimp. Maybe MailChimp. I don't know. We'll talk about it. Charlie, Nick, keep me honest on that. I see another hand up. Jan Seides, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. There's no snow here. Yeah, this is one of the reasons I live here. I just wanted to mention that there's a really good class on handling your email and making it pay. And it's run by Cheryl Engelhardt. I first heard her on a CD Baby podcast, and it costs, but she's got a lot of valuable insights, and she spent a long time putting this class together. And every once in a while, she'll do a workshop, and it's free. And you can pick up so much even from these free workshops that my response rate on my email has gone from, 10 to 15% to over 25% pretty consistently. And people write me back, which I love. So I just wanted to mention that that is out there. It's a possibility, and it's definitely valuable stuff.
Cool. Awesome. Could you write her name or just a little something in the chat if you have?
I definitely will. Sure.
That'd be great. I've written it down as well, but Elaine, I see your hand back up, and then we're gonna call, I think after that oh, Elaine, do you put your hand back down? Or
No, I just, two things, just with Reddit, because I know we've been talking about a younger audience. I know my kids are constantly looking at threads in Reddit, and I just looked it up and it had a whole thing. It said Reddit for musicians, Reddit for music producers. And so I'm just wondering, I was wondering if people used it and what you could use it for. I know, other than stock things. And also the MailChimp and other platforms, I think would be really interesting from the standpoint of somebody mailing things out. I use MailChimp. I don't like to, I really try to not send out too much because I think people get bombarded with news. And so if I have a show coming up, the maximum I'll send out is 3 in the space of 3 weeks. And I don't even know if that's too much. I sort of bounce everything off my kids who are like in their late 20s, early 30s, and they keep saying, don't send out too much. So yeah, those were the 2 things I thought were interesting.
Yeah. How many people think Farm sends too many emails? See, like if I didn't send you the emails, Charlie, put your hand down. If I didn't send as many emails as I did, there wouldn't be as many people here, because every single time I send out another newsletter, our attendance and registration doubles, and people aren't, because you sort of start to go after it. So yeah, I feel like we're in a different time in this isolation where you can't, there's a fine line between like just being noise so that people just ignore everything you do. And so like Don said, the content, making sure that what you're delivering is something,
and
is
one other thing,
right?
One other thing I was going to mention, I'm down in Texas in a sort of conservative area here, and I'm beginning to realize that now there seem to be 2 worlds emerging, one that is still isolated and one that is very much in Texas. We have live music going on and people going out to restaurants. And so it's like 2 different worlds.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to know when to start back up. It's hard for a lot of us because it's just, I guess in every way, there's 2 worlds out there. So.
Yeah, I still believe it's going to be regionally, like people are going to stay closer to home. At least there might not be as much touring going on. All right, guys, we're gonna wrap this up. This has been really. Do you like this platform? I mean, do you like what we're doing here once a month? Everybody feel like the conversation is? I think it's been great. I love hearing what all y'all are doing, even though I just have a million questions still. I didn't get in your, but next month we haven't picked the topic yet, so keep your eyes out. We're going to see what the topic is. We might have picked the topic, but next week we are doing, we have Carrie Estrin, the wonderful artist consultant and radio promoter, is going to come and talk to the community about folk radio, the listserv, the elusive listserv, how to navigate it, how to get your radio out to DJs. Marilyn, are you here still with us? She's not, she's gone. Michael, you're here. Hi, Michael. And, so I'm hoping that a few DJs will come in and help us, with that conversation. We figured it was hard to pick just one DJ to come and talk, but Carrie's got her finger on the pulse of that stuff. And we'll talk a little bit of tech about how, delivery, and again, to have DJs with their preferences is really good. And also promoting, just to help promoting. So you can get your music out in the hands of our beloved folk radios, the ones who are still playing your music. And, sadly, somebody's just now joining us, just in time to say goodbye. So, okay, and community peer session next week. If you haven't looked up Folk Alliance's Folk Unlocked virtual conference, please do that. Go to folk.org and you'll find out information about that. And the dates are from February 22nd through 26th. And so there will be no farm activities specifically that week. So no peer session and no tech talk that week. But there's a lot going on with Folk Alliance, and you want to, it's a really affordable sliding scale to participate in all of it. And we recommend it. So, Brooke, I'm sorry you just got here. We're just finishing up, but you must be in a different time zone because we start at 2 Eastern time. So
I
hopefully.
just popped in to say hi.
Well, hi. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. And Angela, I see your name still here, so hopefully you'll join us next week for that tech talk as well. I'm happy to see you always, and thank you,
Annie.
Thank you for being here, and happy social
Bye,
media.
Thank you,
everybody.
Annie.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Chat.
Thanks very much.
All right. I hate these goodbyes, but we're still streaming. So we're just-
Everyone knows how to save the chat, right?
yeah, if you notice, save the chat, go 3 dots to the right of at the bottom, click on the 3 little dots, and you'll see save chat right on top of that. And it'll land probably in your downloads or someplace on your computer. Doesn't give you a chance to save it, but just
Great.
Google Zoom and it'll bring it up. If anybody needs it, I have a copy of it and I'm happy to send it to you. All right,
Claudia,
everybody.
nice to see you, Claudia and Bruce.
Likewise.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.